Hey guys, welcome to the challenge. So, originally, I was gonna use this kind of, not crappy, but just super basic Swiss Army knife that I have. Doesn't really have much for tools, it just has one knife, pair of scissors, and a file thing that's not a knife, that's not sharp at all. So, I was gonna use this. And then I finally came across in my camping and hiking gear the Swiss Army knife that I've had since I was in Cub Scouts. I was looking for this thing all yesterday and I couldn't find it. I was pretty bummed, but this is gonna help me out quite a bit. It has a couple knives on it. Has a corkscrew, which might be my punch, I'm not sure. It has a pen and tweezers and all kinds of good stuff. So I think this could give me the edge. I don't know what kind of knife IRA'S using, but I can't imagine it's worse than this one. So anyway, let me tell you a bit about my setup here. So the plan is I'm going to use this Swiss Army knife to make a sheath for it. I'm going to go with some just natural veg tan leather. I think this is gonna hurt me if I can't do it right, but I'm gonna attempt to put a snap on there so I can close it nicely. And then, again, in the rules it says that we can only use the knife or anything we make with the knife, so this is gonna be a pretty tough one here. I'm gonna have this camera, I'll probably move it around a little bit while I'm working, as well as I have a GoPro off to the side here. It's just gonna capture, not quite top down, but it'll capture my work surface here. And yeah, I'm gonna get started. I'm both kind of nervous and excited for it. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. Enjoy. So my plan is to actually do a wet molded one, which is something I haven't done before. Basically what you do is you get this wet, it gets moldable kind of like clay, and then you wrap it around here. When it dries, it should take that shape, and then you stitch it to the back piece. Like I said, I've never done it before, but yeah, we're gonna give it a shot, why not? So you can see it's a lot more flexible now. So now we're going to take this right about there, I think. So here's an issue that I'm facing right now. Generally, when you wet mold, you'll mold it around the thing and then put like binder clips or something to kind of hold the shape. But I can just see Ira calling me out on that, so I'm gonna have to hold it by hand, so this is gonna be a while. You can kind of see it's taken shape there. So I'm going to leave this and move on to the back piece. I'm not sure if I have to hold this until it's completely dry or what. But I think I'll be able to get the back piece done and then could mold this around it when it's a bit drier. That should work, I think. Let's give it a shot. Okay, so my plan with this piece here is to put it on the back, and then we're actually going to try to fold it over and see if we can do a snap closure on this thing. I don't know if it'll work, probably won't, but we're going to give it a shot. Okay, so now that I got this weird looking thing here, how this is gonna work is, I'm gonna put it on here. This just folds over top. That's where it's gonna snap. I still need to do some belt loops on the back. Maybe straighten this out a bit, it's a little wonky. And then we're gonna have to stitch it up, and that's gonna be the really hard part, I think. Yeah, I'm kind of just winging it as I go here, so let's get back to it. Okay guys, so this project turned into a bigger hassle than I thought it was going to be. This is actually day 2. So let me show you where we're at. My wet molding of the knife actually went really well. I've never wet molded anything before, so it's going to slide right in here like that. That's a perfect fit for it. And then it's just going to mount on here. That'll fold over like that. Has a belt loop thing on the back, and I'm going to somehow try to attach a snap button to it. I don't know how. And I also need to figure out how to stitch it up, which is going to be a pain. So pretty much the easiest parts are done now. And now the parts that are going to be a huge issue are starting. So let's get into it and see if I can finish this thing today. So first what I need to do is I need to get this stupid button on here before I can stitch it together. So how these work is you have something like this. I don't know if you can see it, but it has a post, and then they go through the snap part. And what you have to do is then hit it with this tool, and it spreads the post out and locks that in. Now, obviously I can't use this tool, so I need to find something on here to spread out that post so that my button works. So I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. It's gonna be a pain. I guess we'll start by marking it out and then punching the holes for the button. Let's give it a shot here. Did I cut that too short? Oh, that looks okay. So I was going to use the toothpick to punch my holes later, and I didn't realize how flimsy this thing is. This is probably not going to work. Damn it. Okay, so I got my holes marked for this, and then what I'm gonna do is punch the holes, I guess, with a knife on there, and get the snap put through, and then we'll try to get it fixed on there. I still don't know how I'm gonna... Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm totally winging it at this point, but we'll see. Oh, this little screwdriver might do it. If not, we're going to use the corkscrew. Here's what we're gonna do. Oh God. This is not working. Jesus. So I was trying to punch this stupid little screwdriver through using this. That's not going to work. And I thought I was onto something to punch the stitching holes, and that's going to take me forever if I try to do it like that. So I'm still trying to figure out how to punch holes. I think I'm going to go with the corkscrew now and see how that works. Well, it definitely goes through, and we can... There! Look at that. Here's the post that we need to open up to get the snap on there. This is stupid. I don't know how this is gonna work. That's not open wide enough. Pen, maybe? There you go. Pen's opening it up a little bit. Okay, we might just have to open it up with a knife. Try not to wreck the whole... Looks like I got it a bit wider, so let's see. Oh, fuck, go through. I don't know what else to put through there. What's this? Oh my God. There we go. We got it through. So the next part is put this piece on the post there. And then how this works is it actually kind of spreads out that post. So I need to find some way of doing that on here. Maybe the pen? Not the pen. Maybe this stupid thing? Maybe? No. It's just not working. Maybe I can kind of... Maybe I can bend it with the corkscrew. No. Oh, it's kind of working. Yeah, let's try that. I can't believe it, but that actually worked. So I got the first button on there. What I did is I used this can opener thing to kind of bend that down. It's super ugly inside. I don't know if you can actually see in there, but it looks like crap, but it seems pretty strong. So I think that's gonna hold. I'll maybe go after it again later, but let's move on to trying to get the next piece in. So again, I think I'm going to try to use a knife to just kind of open up that hole a little bit. Just kind of spin it around in circles. That seemed to work the best. I think that should do it. Let's try to get this thing through. Maybe just a bit more. There we go, we'll try that. Still not. There we go, it's through now. Now we put that on, and we're just gonna do it the same way we did the other piece here. This is probably a don't try this at home moment. This feels super sketchy. There we go, I think we got the button snap on there. Let's just see if it actually works. It's attached. Hey, look at that. Okay. Let's get these things put together and hopefully stitched up. Alright. So I'm going to glue these together, and then I'll probably cut it down to size. And then I'm going to somehow make a stitching line around the outside. I'm thinking either maybe with the... No, that's not going to work. I'm thinking maybe the tweezers could work as wing dividers. Although they're pretty flexible, but we'll see. Just like that. Alright, that's not bad actually. We'll give that a go, but let's get this thing glued together and then start working on it. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let the glue set there. Then we'll trim it down and try to figure out what to do next. Okay, so the glue on this thing is dry enough. So now I'm just gonna trim it to size, and I might change the design on my belt loops and do belt loops on the outside. I'm not sure. Could go either way. I'm still working out how to stitch it, but I think the tweezers will work well as wing dividers, I think. And I don't imagine I can use a ruler to help me cut this straight, so it's going to be a little jagged, but it's coming together. And then I just have a little bit I gotta trim off the back here because that wasn't a totally cut to the right size piece. So we're just gonna do some sketchy stuff here. Cool. We'll just go right there. Try to round it off the best we can. There we go, that's not too bad. Okay, now we try to stitch it up. So first I'm going to use these tweezers as my wing dividers. See how it goes. So far, not very good. Very hard to keep it the same width. Okay. I don't know if you can see it, but I got a line kind of going around there. It's not the prettiest, but now we'll try to punch some holes. I'd like to use this little screwdriver here, but it didn't work very good to go through here. I can't imagine it's going to do good for this, so I think I'll use this small knife that I punched my holes with earlier. Maybe I'll just mark it first. Okay guys, so admittedly this is day 3 of making this thing. I don't have the most time to work on these every day, so it got cut short yesterday, so here we go. I'm thinking I'll probably get this finished, but here's where we stand. I have a nice wet molded thing. I have a snap on it that works nicely. I've used the I've punched some holes, or I've marked some holes here. We're gonna punch them now. I actually did figure out a way of saddle stitching, and unfortunately I did it off camera, but here's my proof of concept right here. It's ugly, but it's gonna work. So let's get some holes punched and then I'll work on stitching it up and hopefully we can finish today. So I've been thinking about different ways of marking the holes. I thought about using this little screwdriver, but I was trying to push this through. It takes a lot of work and it's a pain. I'm gonna hurt myself doing that. I've also looked at the pen. The pen's not very sharp. So what I think I'm gonna do is, in Stock and Barrel's video, they used this thing, or Parker used this thing to punch the holes and stitch them as well. And basically what you do is you punch the hole, and then this hole in the blade here, you run your string through, and then when you go through the leather, it actually pulls it through to the other side and lets you stitch it up. But it also, when he did it, it made these huge, like, way too big holes to be stitching through. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use this to punch the holes, but I'm not going to use this to stitch with. What I think I am going to do is use this as an awl. This is just the pen. Use this as the pen, and then how I did this was when I opened up the holes, I was able to actually just slide the thread through without a needle. So that's maybe what we're gonna do, unless it doesn't work. But let's get these holes punched and then we'll figure that out. Now I really don't want, I had marked these holes too close together. So I think I'm going to want to space them out a bit more, so let's just give myself a little bit of light here. And also, I don't know which way is the best to angle it. I think this way, so here we go. I will just put it on here. And I wonder how I'm going to space that apart. You know what? We're just going to eyeball it. That one was ugly. Keep going. We'll do a bit extra string than I normally would, just in case I screw it up, which I'm probably going to do. This might actually be too big to open it up. I'm going to use the pick here. Oh, it went through. Alright, I think we're in business. This could be a pain in the ass though. I wonder if this would open it up just a bit better. My god, this is gonna take forever. Maybe if we had a wider awl to open up the hole, like So we'll try that. That's down flat, and then it tapers into pretty wide here. Okay, so what I've tried here is I've whittled this skewer thing down. It's flat here, and then it tapers into pretty wide, and I'm hoping that this will let me put it in the hole and widen it up so that I can still just run the thread through by itself. Looks pretty good. Oh, that's a thing of beauty. We have 2 saddle stitches. Oh, that's awesome. This is gonna take freaking forever. Here. I think Ira was saying that he's actually finished his, but we've intentionally not shown each other our designs just so it doesn't influence the other guy. So I'm really curious how he solved this problem, as well as just what his sheath looks like. Now, how the fuck do we backstitch this? Oh god. I can't believe that worked. Here we go, last one. There we go. It's all stitched up. Now, do I have scissors on this thing? I don't. So, what I would do if I wasn't going to use fire is I would just tie these up. But I think it's fair to say that I would have a lighter with me if I was in the bush and had to do something stupid like this, so I am going to melt them just because I want this thing to last. There it is. So there it is. It's definitely a little bit wonky, but it turned out way better than I thought it was going to. This stupid awl thing that I made definitely is the VIP here. I've never had to stitch without needles before. It was it took a long time, but yeah, it looks pretty good. I'm happy with how the wet molding went. If I was making this using proper tools, I probably would have put the holes closer to the fold there, because that's gonna stretch out over time. But I'm stoked that my snap worked. Seems like it's on there pretty good. I mean, I've opened and closed this thing a bunch of times, and yeah, it doesn't seem like it's coming off there. It does look a little bit janky, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm super stoked with how this turned out. I haven't seen IRA'S yet, so I'm pretty excited to see what he could come up with. This video was a ton of work. I have a lot of editing ahead of me right now, and I know IRA'S deep into editing his. But yeah, if you could like and subscribe, it helps me out. This was a lot of work and shows that you guys appreciate it. So let's head over to IRA'S video and see what he was able to come up with, do the same for him. If you have any challenge ideas for us, leave them in the comments on either of our videos. And we will, if this does well, we'll probably make this a regular thing, challenging each other. So yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for watching. See ya.